can't hate men because my father was.
Slakia. I'm gonna do the intro first before I get into these two videos. I'm gonna show you. This one is just show you what's going on with the so-called black woman. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakwadash, the bonds of apostles and elders, great male son, to do the will and shalom to you, I can spread this word of truth, sincerity, and charity. The name of the Holy Father is Yahweh, which means he is or he exists. That's his true name. Bahashem means in the name. Yahweh Shai means he delivers or he saves. That's the true name of the Holy Father's only begotten Son, who will be saving and delivering the elect of Israel, which consists of the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and speckled birds that may look like other nations, but through the seed line that follows their trace of lineage back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Bahashem, Kakwadash, Ocham means spirit, Kodash means holy, as in the Holy Spirit, and guys do lessons with truth, sincerity, and charity. Shabbat Shalom. Let's get into these videos.
Too good. I had a good father. I just can't. I know that good men do exist, and they hated her for it. They attacked her for it. Here's the first video that triggered them. You're going to want to see this. Check it out.
I personally can't hate men because I had a really good dad. And I know that the Most High didn't stop making good men when he made my father. So how could I possibly hate men? And I know that if my father existed, that there's other men out there that are also like him. So therefore I cannot hate all of you.
Beautiful words.
It's not even possible for me. He was too good. He was too good, which means there's too good out there. So yeah, count me out. Count me out. I personally,
they hated that. And so they responded. And then she responded. This is where things started to heat up. Check it out.
I made a video yesterday where I was saying how I can't hate men because I had a really good father. And I got a response that I found to be very interesting. She said, good for you. Right. Thank your mother also because your mother chose a good man. That also means your mother is not a crappy person. But let's sympathize and empathize with people who aren't fortunate enough to have what you have.
I'm going to pause it right there because this is great. But I have to show you this next video, right? I have to show you this. This is what I want you to see first. Let's get it.
So this may be my last video on this topic, but it might not be. So let's take it back to my being grateful for having a good dad video, right? I've seen a lot of the women say, well, you should be thanking your mother for picking you a good father. You should be thanking your mom for picking that good man. Not thanking that man for being a good dad. No, you should thank your mother. You should thank the woman for picking that good man.
Right.
So if I should thank the woman for picking that good man and not thank the man for being the good man, by that logic, does that mean that if my mother did not choose a good father, that I would also blame my mother?
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Are you guys following? Do you see why I had to make sure I play this first so that this video right here is heard? And do you see why this video here didn't catch as much attention? They didn't want to hear that. They didn't want to drink that coffee one more time.
So if I should thank the woman for picking that good man and not thank the man for being the good man, by that logic, does that mean that if my mother did not choose a good father, that I would also blame my mother?
No, I'll have a tea actually.
They don't want that.
So you don't thank the good man for being a good man. You thank the woman for picking the good man. But when the woman doesn't pick a good man to be the father, who's to blame for that?
The man, right?
Black women are the most single, and we have the biggest women. How do I know we're the most single? Real quick, y'all, here are the marriage numbers. Among all U.S. adults, 49% of women are currently married, compared to 53% of men. 27% of Black women are married, 49% never married. 34% of Black men married, 50% never married. 31% of Black people married, 50% never married. I'm reading all that for the record. I want you to focus on this one stat today. 27% of Black women are married, 49% never married. Okay, just focus on that stat. When you compare that to all in the United States, like 48% of all married or of all people in the United States are married, and Black women are 27%. That's a huge difference. And we're going to focus on body and the way that that impacts this number today, although we could talk about other things. Most men want a woman they are attracted to. who could carry and care for their children if they choose to have children. They want quality of life and know that being with a woman who is not physically fit will greatly impact that. Your health is wealth. So being unhealthy, too fat, too big, okay, effectively makes you broke in that regard. I'm making the simple argument that if Black women were more physically fit, their chances at marriage would increase. It wouldn't solve the whole problem. Again, the attitude and mindset need to match up. Too many Black women, 8 out of 10, are at least over a normal weight or are at least overweight and can even get into obesity. If you want to account for some of you with a whole bunch of muscle, okay, let's take that down to 6 or 7 out of 10. I will give that to you for the sake of the argument. It's still too much. That means that more than half of you, let's say 60 to 70% of you are actually just too fat, are actually just like truly, genuinely overweight and obese because of fat on your body. Are y'all following me? Too big to fit, generally fit what a man, especially a high quality man, are we talking about someone with good character? We're talking about someone who, yes, is financially able to support you and the family. Yeah, I mean, men who want to get away from providership in a traditional sense, you're not the man for this group. Okay, just like women who don't want to care about their body, you're not the woman for this group. Okay, other groups, fine.
All right, now that we got that out of the way, as you saw, both of these women were so-called Black women, right? And they're saying it out their mouths. And I'm on the side, of course, they're on the side of accountability. And let me get this out the way as well. Fair use, fair use. I'm not using this for any monetary gain. I'm not trying to make any cash off of this, right? And this is strictly charitable. Right? All my videos are, I'm not making no money off of it, and I have no plans to make any money off of it. But as you see, the so-called Black women, they're completely unreasonable, right? Again, those two women being exception. Both of them seem like they got hit with, they got a touch of some wisdom about them, right? But they're able to hold themselves and people like themselves, or that specific demographic, right? Specifically speaking to Southern Kingdom women, which people ignorantly call the so-called Black women, but really they're just the kingdom of Yasharala, you know what I mean? Which be the Judah Benjamin Levi, right? The so-called Black woman, so-called Jamaican or West Indian woman, and so-called Haitian women. They're able to hold themselves accountable. I pray that those women, if they be not demons to live with, I pray they find an Israelite man in these days to come, right? Because Isaiah 4:1 on the horizon, whether you choose to believe it or not, it is right here. It is to come. But we are at like this point where reality is pointing us in the face. And this is specifically, as I speak, I realize I'm speaking to the Israelite man on why you should not be dealing with the so-called Black woman, right? They are destructive, fat, lazy, delusional women. You know what I mean? You should not be dealing with them in the slightest, especially ones that they just can't, you can't check them. You can't check them. So now you got this woman that's out here on the loose, and you trying to dwell with her. You're trying to make this woman your wife. She's undesirable in many ways, man. You know what I mean? Like both Black women touched it, so-called Black women touched it. The second one, I believe she was talking about, you gotta have a mindset to lose weight, but, a lot of them just won't because they look at themselves and they see perfection. That's the biggest trick bag that, the Heavenly Father put in. This is why I'm very great. In this moment, I realized I am very glad that He made me a Judite male, not an Israelite woman, but He made me a Judite male. You know what I mean? I'm happy for that. Because the amount of delusion that so-called Black women have is disgusting. It's a disgusting amount. You know what I mean? they believe in these. Honestly, I'm at the point, if a so-called black woman says it, don't even listen to it. You know what I mean? I am friends with some so-called black women, right? You know, with some Judite women. You know, I do hang out with some, or I used to hang out with some, and I did some of that, you know, I can respect and talk to, right? You know, it's easy to talk to our sisters, you know what I'm saying, when you're not dealing with them in that manner. But, you know, if you come against them, you already know the hell that's going to come with it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I love to sit down and talk to the Southern Kingdom women, man, the women of Judah. You know what I mean? I love shooting the shit with them. It is what it is with that. But in terms of, like, dwelling with them, no, that shit is terrible. It's the worst shit in the world. You know what I mean? Talking to them and hearing their logic and wisdom behind things, well, their lack thereof, wisdom, I should say, hearing their philosophies and what they follow, man, they're goofy as hell. And I dare I say, all of them got, like, some sort of demon in them, some demon of rebellion in them. But let's get into some scriptures real quick. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 25, starting at verse 16. I rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than keep house with a wicked woman. These women are wicked. And the greatest form is the rebellion that they have against men. Man, if you think you're equal to a man, you are in rebellion with the Lord right now. You know what I'm saying? And you're a wicked woman. And again, a lot of women are just feminists in the mindset, because, you know, that's just the demon in the air at this point in moment in time. But some women dive in that way harder than others. You know what I mean? Some of them are impossible to talk to, impossible to, like, I'll say debate with, right? But, you know, the goal is not to debate with you hoes. Don't even consider y'all hoes worthy of debating on this topic, right? You know nothing of it. You know nothing of the truth. You know what I mean? The wickedness of a woman changeth her face and darkeneth her countenance like sackcloth. And, you know, the countenance, that means the way you look, you know, and fuck it. I'll use my mother for example, right? I hate to do it, but I will. But, you know, my mother has these permanent, like, you know, like darkness around her eyes. And she's not an evil woman per se, like, as in, like, she doesn't think she's doing is evil, right? But a lot of them, well, well, I mean, she's aware now. I did tell her the truth, but, you know, she's part of this church. And I keep telling this church is off. This church is crazy. It should not be doing. They got a woman in charge of that church. Right? They got a woman preaching. That's in rebellion with the word of the Lord. You know what I mean? But she got these dark circles around her eyes like a raccoon. You know what I mean? And her countenance changed from when I saw her as a child. But, you know, the more I uncover, again, I love my mother, but, you know what I mean? You know, you women commit acts against your children. That's just crazy. You know what I mean? You can't trust these women to watch your children. Really, like, they're the biggest threat to your children's lives. That's facts. You know, there's a plethora of stories of so-called black women just ending their children's lives in terrible, horrifying ways. You know what I'm saying? Cutting them up, putting them in the suitcases, killing them and putting them in a deep freezer. Beating the shit out of toddlers just because they was mad at their fathers. Or because they looked like their fathers. You so-called black women are out of control. You know what I'm saying? Out of control. That's just the, you know what I mean? That's the dark shit. That's the dark shit I'm going into. What they was going into, you know, she was trying to give her pops some props. You know what I mean? The first woman, the first Jake woman, she was trying to give her dad some props. Like, hey, yo, like, my dad was, you know, a so-called good man. Like, you know, if he be of the truth, right? Because it sounds like she doesn't know. I mean, everybody's saying the Most High nowadays, you know, but, you know, Hebrew, people who are awakened to this truth calls the Lord the Most High rather than God nowadays, you know what I'm saying? You know, I use the Heavenly Father's name, Yahweh, you know, Yahweh Bashem El Shai when I pray, you know what I mean? When I refer to him, right, you know, because you better call upon all the names more than anything else, right? I understand that he is the Most High, but his name is very powerful, and then it will be a fool of me not to use it, right? And there's just a lesson on why it's important to call upon Yahweh Bashem El Shai by name, right? By name. But regardless, I digress. But she was giving. You could tell she was like, she. I have. I'm sorry. I have a suspicion or a small belief, right? I could be wrong that she might be awoken to the truth. You know what I mean? Because she called the Lord the Most High, right? I could be wrong. I could also be right. But regardless, she was referring to her pops as a good man. And then all these women was coming at her enough to where she had to make, one or two videos about, like, why is you mad that I'm calling my pops a good dad? You know what I mean? Thank your mother. And then all this like that. One thing, women shouldn't be picking shit. You could tell they don't know how to pick women. I'm sorry. You could tell these so-called black women don't know how to pick shit. Well, not even so-called black women. I'm not even going to say just them. Most women don't know how to pick shit for themselves with the men that they choose and lay their heads with and lay in the bed with. You know what I mean? A lot of them, they pick wrong the first 1 to 20 times. You know what I mean? Like, even with my woman, right? I'm not far from her first. You know what I mean? She picked 10 or so niggas before me, right? Not to put too much of my business out, you know what I mean? But they gotta do all this shit. Women, that shows that women should not be picking for themselves. It should go back to old days where women had to be betrothed to a man that their father had chosen for them. And that's just truth. That's just righteousness. That's how it's supposed to be. Because then you wouldn't have to worry about all this bullshit we going through now. You know what I mean? Hold on. What was the Proverbs? Because I saw this from another video earlier today. Proverbs chapter 21, verse 19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman. You know what I mean? So anyway, that goes to the point, slightly where these women were contented with her because she had a good example. Ultimately, that shows how childish women are, right? They see an example of the contrary of what they believe, and they react like children and hurl insults. They just get mad. They get mad. They get mad at the truth, even though this is the one thing that will set them free. But the Lord blinded you women, blinded a lot of you, right? She said what? The second woman said 60 to 70% of so-called black women are overweight, right? That number sounds a lot like the 2/3. Not saying if you a big woman, you are 2/3, right? I do. If you are a bigger woman and then you do come across this video and you are Israel, you're Israelite, and you follow the 100% truth given to us, the Lord given to us by Yahweh Shema Shai through the words and mouth of the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. If you do believe in this, I do highly advise you to, hit the gym, you know what I mean? Or find a little workout and diet, You know your body, of course. You know what you're comfortable with. There's a lot of things you got to dabble into, like calisthenics or weightlifting or, just becoming an overall runner. Walking is a superpower. A lot of people don't know that they have. You know what I mean? I do expect that, there's ways to lose weight. But I am saying, just because you're overweight doesn't make you part of 2/3. But I will say, that number is familiar, right? 67%, or she said 6 to 7, but 67% is 2/3, right? Or 66.6 repeating. However you want to put it, that's 2/3. You know what I mean? A lot of people who don't have self-control, people that won't be saved by the Lord. And I do believe that, a lot of women that are going to be saved by Yahweh Shem Shai are from the Northern Kingdom. I do believe because even though they got some demons on them, they're still way more womanly. They're not as confused as these so-called black women. You know what I mean? Again, it's just a video to show, not the bad. Well, if it does bash me, you know what I'm saying? Hurt dogs bark, right? But it's just a video to relay information. Just don't deal with Southern Kingdom women. I'll tell her that. Don't deal with a 2/3 Southern Kingdom woman. So with that being said, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash, double honors apostles and elders, great millstone, and do the will, shalom to Yah, in the space where true, sincerity, and charity, Kwame Sharala, Wa Bada Ball.